James was not their biological father, but from the day he met Emma and her siblings, he decided to be there for them no matter what. Emma, the white daughter with her blonde hair and jeans jacket, was just a toddler when James first stepped into their lives. He wore a simple black shirt that day, his black hair slightly messy, but his eyes full of determination. He knew that being a father meant more than blood. It meant love, care, and constant presence. For James, raising Emma was a commitment he took seriously. He was there every morning, waking her up gently, making breakfast, and helping her get ready for school. He taught her how to tie her shoes, how to ride a bike, and how to be kind to others. Though he was different in skin color and background, he never let that distance him from the children he loved. His black shirt and strong arms were a comforting presence for Emma, who sometimes felt unsure about where she fit in the world. Life was not always easy for James or Emma. They lived in a neighborhood where people sometimes stared or whispered when they saw a black man with white children. Emma overheard questions from her classmates at school. Is he really your dad? Or why does he look different from your mom? These questions made Emma feel confused and sometimes embarrassed. She did not want to hurt James, but she also wanted to be accepted by her friends. James understood this struggle and talked to her patiently about it. He told her that family was about the heart, not skin color. James worked hard to provide for Emma and her siblings. He took 2 jobs sometimes, coming home late, but never missing their bedtime. He was the one who wiped away tears after a bad dream, and the one who celebrated every small victory at school. He was more than just a caregiver. He was their protector and friend. Emma loved James in her own way, but as she grew older, she started to notice differences that made her feel distant. She loved her white mom too, but her mom was busy with work and often away. James was always there, but sometimes Emma wished things could be simpler. She felt caught between 2 worlds, the black man who raised her and the white family she belonged to by birth. One afternoon, James and Emma sat together on the porch. James gently brushed her blonde hair away from her face and asked, "How do you feel about us, Emma?" Emma looked down, unsure how to answer. "I love you, James," she said quietly, "but sometimes I don't know if I belong." James nodded slowly. "I know it's hard," he said, "but remember, you belong where you are loved." This moment was important. It showed the challenges they faced, but also the strength of their bond. James wore his black shirt that day, simple but steady, just like the support he gave Emma every day. The story of a black father raising a white daughter was not perfect, but it was real, filled with love, struggles, and hope. If you want to hear more stories about families who fight against all odds, don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for the next part. As Emma grew older, the feelings inside her grew more complicated. She knew James loved her and her siblings like his own children, but sometimes she felt like something was missing. School was becoming harder, not because of the lessons, but because of the questions and looks from other kids. They would whisper or ask things like, "Why does your dad look different?" Or, "Are you really his daughter?" These questions made Emma feel uncomfortable and confused. At home, things were not always easy either. Emma loved her mom, but her mom was busy with work and often tired. James was always there, helping with homework, driving her to soccer practice, and making sure she had what she needed. He wore his favorite black shirt most days, calm and steady, but Emma sometimes wished her family life felt more normal. Sometimes Emma talked to her friends about James, but she didn't tell them everything. She worried they wouldn't understand a black man raising a white child in their small town. Even though James never acted like anything was different, Emma felt pressure to explain why her family looked the way it did. Deep down, she loved James, but the questions made her question where she belonged. One afternoon after school, Emma sat in her room, scrolling through her phone. She saw pictures of families that looked like hers, but without the difference in skin color. She felt alone and unsure. Later that day, she told her best friend about her feelings. "Sometimes I feel like I don't fit anywhere," she said quietly. Her friend listened but didn't really know how to help. Emma realized she needed to figure things out on her own. James noticed Emma growing quieter. He tried to talk to her more, but she often avoided deep conversations. One evening, he found her sitting on the porch, staring at the stars. He sat beside her and said, "Emma, I know this isn't easy for you, but I want you to know I am here for you always." Emma looked at him, her eyes filled with sadness and hope. "I love you, James, but sometimes it's hard to explain us to others." That night, James thought about how to support Emma better. He knew she was struggling with feelings he couldn't fix with words alone. He decided to be patient, to keep showing love and understanding, hoping that one day Emma would feel proud of their family, no matter what others thought. Emma's world was changing, and so was her understanding of family. She started to see that love was not about looking the same, but about being there through good and bad times. James was her father in every way that mattered, even if others didn't always see it that way. As their story continued, the challenges would grow, but so would the strength between them. Families come in all forms, and sometimes it takes time to accept the family you have, not just the one you imagined. If you want to follow Emma and James's journey and see how they face what's next, subscribe now and don't miss the next part. The day Emma said the words, "We're not the same blood," was a day that changed everything. It happened during a small argument in the kitchen. Emma was frustrated, feeling trapped between her feelings and the questions she could not answer. James, her black father figure with his usual black shirt and calm presence, had been trying to understand her. But that day, emotions ran too high. Emma's voice shook as she said it, not meaning to hurt James but unable to hold the thought inside any longer. James stared at her, hurt flashing across his face. The words felt sharp and cold, cutting through the years they had spent building their bond. For a moment, everything was silent. The kitchen, usually warm and full of life, felt heavy with tension. James wanted to say something to make it better, but the words got stuck. He remembered all the nights he stayed awake worrying about these kids, all the sacrifices he made just to see them happy. To hear Emma say they weren't the same blood made him question if any of it mattered. Emma looked down, tears forming in her eyes. She didn't want to be cruel, but the feelings inside her were confusing. She felt guilty, knowing James loved her like his own, but also feeling a distance she couldn't explain. Her blonde hair hid her face as she tried to collect herself. After the moment passed, they both needed space. James went to the living room and sat quietly, thinking about how to fix the broken connection. Emma retreated to her room, unsure of how to face the man who raised her and who she loved deep down. That night, Emma lay awake thinking about the words she said. She wondered if she had hurt James beyond repair. She thought about the other families she knew, how theirs was different. The thought of losing James as her dad scared her more than anything. James, on the other hand, felt a mix of sadness and determination. He knew families are not perfect, and that love sometimes means forgiving hard things. He wanted to find a way to rebuild the trust that moment had damaged. The next day, James didn't bring up the argument right away. Instead, he kept showing up for Emma in the small ways, making her favorite breakfast, walking her to the bus stop, listening to her talk about school. Slowly, he hoped the silence between them would turn into understanding. Emma noticed the change. She saw that James was still there, steady and patient. It made her realize that family is more than just words or feelings. It's about showing up when it matters most. She wanted to find a way to say sorry but didn't know how. Their relationship was tested that day, but it was far from over. Both James and Emma knew they had to face the hard truths in order to move forward. Love sometimes hurts, but it can also heal. If you want to see how James and Emma work through their pain and grow stronger, subscribe now and stay with us for the next part of their story. After the argument, Emma needed space to think. She felt torn between her love for James and the confusion about her place in the family. She often wondered what it meant to be a daughter to someone who wasn't her biological father. Her white shirt and jeans jacket felt like a shield she wore to hide her feelings from the world. Emma talked to a close friend about her struggles. She told her how she loved James but felt different from her siblings and the family she saw around her. Her friend listened carefully but didn't fully understand. Emma realized that some feelings were too personal to share and had to be worked through alone. At home, James noticed Emma's quietness. He didn't push her to talk, but made sure she knew he was there whenever she needed him. He continued his daily routine, working, cooking, helping with homework, but kept an eye on Emma, hoping she would open up when ready. One evening, Emma found herself thinking about her biological father. He had been absent for most of her life. Sometimes she wished things were different, but she also felt angry and sad. She didn't want to disappoint James or her mom. But the questions inside her kept growing. James remembered his own childhood, how he had wanted a family to love him. He knew Emma was struggling with feelings he could not fix overnight. He decided to be patient and steady, showing love in simple actions, listening without judgment, offering hugs, and reminding her she was not alone. Slowly, Emma began to see that family was more than just biology. She noticed how James cared for her every day, how he made sacrifices without asking for anything in return. She realized that love came in many forms, and sometimes it took time to understand. Despite the hard moments, Emma and James shared small, joyful times. They laughed during movie nights, cooked meals together, and celebrated school achievements. These moments helped build a new kind of bond, one based on honesty and acceptance. Emma still had moments of doubt, but she was learning to accept the love James gave her. She started to introduce him to her friends as her dad, proud rather than embarrassed. It was not easy, but it was a start. Their story showed that families can face challenges and still grow stronger. James's black shirt and calm presence were reminders that love does not need to look a certain way to be real. If you want to see how Emma and James continue their journey, facing new challenges and building their family, subscribe now and don't miss the next part. James knew it was time to have a serious talk with Emma. He wanted to clear the air and let her know how much she meant to him. One afternoon after school, James sat down with Emma on the porch. His black shirt was simple, but his eyes showed the deep care he felt for her. Emma, in her white shirt and jeans jacket, looked at him with a mix of nervousness and hope. "Emma," James began softly, "I want you to know that family isn't just about blood. It's about love, trust, and being there for each other." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "I raised you from the time you were a baby. Every step, every moment I was there because I love you. That love never changes." Emma listened, feeling the weight of his words. She thought about all the nights James stayed up when she was sick, how he celebrated her small wins, and how he'd always stood by her. Tears welled up in her eyes. "I know, James, sometimes I forget, or I feel confused, but I do love you. You've been my dad in every way that matters." James smiled gently and reached out to hold her hand. Love can be different from what we expect. It's not about the color of our skin or who shares the same blood. It's about the bond we build and the memories we make. He told her stories from his childhood, about his own struggles and how he longed for a family to love him. Hearing this, Emma felt closer to him than ever before. That day, something changed between them. The walls of distance and misunderstanding began to fall away. Emma started to see that her family was not defined by biology, but by the care and effort they put into it. She felt proud to call James her dad, knowing that love was the strongest connection they had. From then on, their relationship grew stronger. They spent more time together, sharing their thoughts and dreams. Emma introduced James to her friends as her dad, confident and happy. James, in return, made sure Emma always felt safe and loved, no matter what challenges came their way. Their story was far from perfect, but it was real and filled with hope. James's black shirt and steady presence became symbols of the love and strength that held their family together. If you want to see how Emma and James continue to build their family and face new challenges, subscribe now and follow their journey in the next part. Emma and James's relationship had grown stronger, but challenges still came their way. One day, Emma's biological father returned after years of being absent. His sudden appearance brought old wounds to the surface and tested the family's new balance. James, wearing his usual black shirt, stayed calm but watched closely as Emma struggled with the unexpected visit. Emma felt torn between two worlds. She wanted to be loyal to James, the man who raised her and loved her unconditionally, but she also felt pressure from her biological father's return. The man asked questions and made comments that confused her, trying to remind Emma of their blood connection. This made Emma feel uneasy, unsure where she truly belonged. James understood this was a difficult time for Emma. He didn't want to fight or cause trouble, but he also wanted to protect the family he had worked so hard to build. He spoke to Emma quietly, telling her to be strong and remember the love they shared. "Family is what we make it," he said. "I'm here for you no matter what." Emma found herself standing up for James when her biological father challenged him. She told him how James was the one who had always been there, helping with homework, cheering at games, and comforting her when she was scared. Emma's voice grew stronger with each word, showing her confidence and loyalty. This stand surprised many, but it also showed Emma how much she had grown. She no longer felt confused or divided. Instead, she embraced the family she had chosen and the love that raised her. James felt proud and grateful for Emma's courage. Despite the tension, James and Emma continued to build their life together. They shared laughter and quiet moments, proving that love could overcome the hardest obstacles. James's black shirt and calm eyes were a steady reminder that family is more than blood. Their story was not perfect, but it was real and full of hope. As Emma faced her past and embraced her present, she learned the true meaning of family and belonging. If you want to follow Emma and James's journey through these challenges, subscribe now and don't miss the next part of their story. After Emma stood up for James against her biological father, things slowly began to settle. But the challenges did not end there. Emma's family outside of their home didn't all accept the way things were. Some relatives whispered behind their backs, making comments about James not being really part of the family. These words hurt, but James stayed strong, refusing to let the negativity break their bond. Emma felt the pressure too. At school and in her community, she sometimes heard people say things that made her question her place. She struggled with feeling caught between two worlds, her white family by birth and the black man who raised her with love and care. Sometimes it was lonely, but James always reminded her she was never alone. One day, after a tough day at school, Emma came home feeling upset. James noticed immediately. He put aside his work and sat with her, listening without judgment. Emma talked about the hurtful things she heard and how confusing it all was. James held her hand and said, "Family is not about what others say. It's about what we feel and how we treat each other." Emma slowly began to understand that love and family are built on trust and respect, not skin color or bloodlines. She saw how James had given her everything a father could: a safe home, support, and endless love. She realized that sometimes the hardest battles are the ones fought inside the heart. Their family grew stronger because they faced these challenges together. Emma's white shirt and jeans jacket were symbols of her identity, but her bond with James went beyond what she wore. James, in his black shirt, was her protector and friend. They started to share more moments of joy, celebrating birthdays, going on trips, and simply enjoying each other's company. These memories helped heal old wounds and build new hope. Emma learned that family means standing together, no matter what others say. The story of James and Emma shows that love can overcome prejudice and pain. It's about patience, understanding, and choosing to stand by each other through the hardest times. If you want to see how James and Emma continue to grow and face life's challenges, subscribe now and follow their story in the next part. Emma and James had come a long way. Through every challenge and every hard conversation, their bond had grown stronger. Emma now understood that family was not about blood alone. It was about love, trust, and the moments shared together. James, the black man who raised her since she was a baby, had become her true father in every way that mattered. One afternoon, Emma sat with James on the porch. Her blonde hair caught the sunlight as she looked up at him. "I want people to know you're my dad," she said softly. James smiled, his black shirt shining in the warm light. "I'm proud to be your dad, Emma, always." Emma had learned to accept herself and her family. She stopped worrying about what others thought and began to embrace the love she had. The pain of the past did not disappear, but it no longer controlled her. She felt free to be herself and to stand beside James proudly. Their family had faced many obstacles, questions, doubts, and even hurtful words from others, but they had chosen love over fear. James had never given up on Emma, and she had found the courage to accept him fully. Now, when Emma introduced James to her friends, she did so with confidence. She shared stories about the man who raised her, the sacrifices he made, and the endless support he gave. People began to see their family for what it really was, a family built on love. James watched Emma grow into a strong, confident young woman. He was proud not just as a father, but as someone who helped shape her into who she was. Their journey was not perfect, but it was beautiful in its own way. Emma's white shirt and jeans jacket were just a part of her appearance. The real family was the one they had made together, the one filled with love, respect, and understanding. James's black shirt and steady presence were reminders that family is about heart, not color. Their story showed that even when things seem impossible, love can find a way. It can heal wounds, build bridges, and create something unbreakable. James and Emma proved that family is not just what you are born into, but what you choose to hold on to. If you want to hear more stories about families who overcome struggles with love and strength, subscribe now and join us for many more journeys like theirs.